Hello everyone. Today we have with us Mr. Pratap Bose, Vice President and Head of Global Design, Tata Motors. Hello Pratap. It's an honor to have you on a show.
Hi, I'm really happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Of course, and Kerala and anything to do with Kerala is has a special place in my heart. And of course, as a company and as a brand, Tata Motors is very strong in Kerala.
Yes.
And we've been doing very well in Kerala. So there's a lot of love coming from Kerala towards us as well. So thanks for having me.
Have you been to Kerala?
Yes, I have. I've been to Kochi. I've been to Trivandrum.
Trivandrum, yeah. It's the capital.
But that's it. So not other places. But I would love to spend some more time.
Yeah, you should come sometime.
Of course, the food is food is incredible. I'm a big foodie.
Yeah, you're a foodie. I saw it on your Insta. Same here.
Yeah. So of course, food from Kerala is absolutely one of my favorites.
Okay, and I'm a great fan of your work.
Thank you.
So, being a graduate of NID, what motivated you into becoming an automobile designer?
See, I think from a very young age, I was interested in cars. But when I was growing up, maybe you weren't even born then. But when I was growing up, the car scene in India was very different. We had only 2 or 3 cars, as you know, of course, Fiat, Ambassador. And then, of course, Maruti started coming in with the first sort of modern car. Yeah. So a lot of interest in cars, but those days in let's say big industrialists, movie stars, they would import cars.
Yes.
Into India, Chevrolets, Kampalas, Mercedes. Mm-hmm. And whenever you saw one on the road on the streets in Bombay, it always was something that attracted me. So I think from a very young age, this car bug was there. Mm-hmm. And of course, I didn't know that there was a profession. In fact, there wasn't a profession of car design in India in our times.
Yes.
And even now, it's quite a recent phenomenon. It's probably, I would say, seriously in the last 20 odd years. So it's a young profession in India. Very few people, do it. But the interest in cars started very early. I would, draw in my biology books or my, in my history journals or whatever. And faced a lot of problems in school and college because of that. But
hope you weren't thrown out of the class.
Yes, I was. In fact, I was. In some classes I was asked to leave. In some cases, my parents were actually called to the college to speak to the principal.
Okay.
But funnily enough, it's become it became my profession. It's something I get paid to do now. So that's good.
Okay.
And if you speak about NID, of course, like I said, I was aware of the profession of architecture, for buildings, etc. Yeah. But I had very little knowledge of the profession of design, product design. And in those days, of course, information wasn't as freely available as it is today. So, as you grew up, you became a little more aware of design. Then I found out where you can study design. And that led me to actually, applying for and going to the NID.
Okay. And where do you go after NID?
So, in NID, in those days, we didn't have a transportation or automotive design specialization, actually.
Yeah.
You studied product design. Mm-hmm. But the great benefit of studying at NID in those days was that you could choose the projects according to your interests. So if someone was interested in automotive, there was nothing that stopped you from doing that. So I chose some projects of interest. Mm-hmm. The approach, of course, was very design focused, design process focused.
Yeah.
And, that's how I got into car design.
Okay.
I finished NID. I got a chance to my final project I actually did at Maruti. We used to do a 6-month what's called a diploma program or diploma project. So I spent 6 months and 3 more months at Maruti.
Okay.
It was very interesting times. Maruti also was just starting
Yeah.
some design work in those days. I'm talking about 97, Today, of course, they have a full-fledged design studio and all of that. And then I got a chance to go to a company called Piaggio in Italy.
Yeah.
Famous for the Vespa, as you know. And 98, soon after graduating, I moved to Italy. I spent three and a half years there. So it was another great experience. But it wasn't cars, it was scooters and two-wheelers. Yeah.
Okay. Then after that, I think you joined Mitsubishi.
No, since I hadn't done a formal education in car design, in automobile design, I chose to actually study further.
Okay.
I wanted to do a master's.
Yes, yeah.
So even while I was working in Italy, which was very, very, very good, but it was like I said, two-wheelers. I loved it. I learned a lot. Don't get me wrong.
It is obviously famous for designs. You have beautiful designs coming out of Italy.
Absolutely. So like I said, I learned a lot from being in Italy, from working in Piaggio, but I still wanted to do car design eventually.
Okay.
But I felt that, without getting a degree, a higher degree in car design, I wouldn't be able to make the transition. So I applied to the Royal College of Art in London, and I was also lucky to get a scholarship. So that allowed me to go across to London to study for 2 years and do a MA in transportation design, or vehicle design as it's called.
Okay.
And post that, yes, after I graduated, I moved to Japan to start work in a Mitsubishi Group company, and then I moved to Daimler Chrysler Japan. So 4.5 years in Japan was also amazing.
And finally, when did you join Tata Motors?
I joined Tata Motors towards the end of 2007.
Okay.
So it's coming up to 13 years now.
Okay.
Of course, I didn't join as head of design. I joined as a sort of lead designer. And then, I've worked my way through the company, and, the last 13 years have been very rewarding for me personally, but also I think, we've been able to position design in a very special place now in the company.
Yeah.
To just give you an example, when I joined in 2007, and even before that, design was a part of, engineering.
Okay.
And, that comes with a lot of issues because design actually is much more of a corporate activity than just something in engineering. So we changed the reporting structure, we changed the management structure. I started building a team of 3 studios, as you know, one in England, one in Italy, and one in India. They used to be quite independent, and so we brought them together. So the place and role of design in Tata Motors today, in these 13 years, has changed immensely. The importance was always known. As you know, Mr. Tata is an architect himself, and he has a great eye for design. And so the importance of design was definitely known in the company. But I think to position the activity or the role of design within the company, within the corporate structure, is something we did, in the last sort of 6-7 years.
Okay.
There's never been a vice president role in design, for example. So we only created that a couple of years ago.
Okay.
So that shows that design is actually a business activity and not just something that sits in a corner in R&D. It's very, very integrated to the business of a company. And that's important, because if you don't sell cars, you don't survive.
Yes.
So, and you sell cars through design today.
Yeah.
One of the primary factors of selling cars, actually, or why people buy cars, one of the top 3 drivers of that is design.
Yeah, I think the looks and the space and the practicality. Yes.
And the whole experience of owning a car, what it means to people, a car is still very aspirational.
Yes.
If I in most countries, actually, after buying a house, the car is the most sort of expensive thing that a person or a family will purchase.
Hmm.
So there's a lot of thought that goes into it. There's a lot of discussion in your dinner table. Which car should we buy? People talk to friends. People look at your reviews from people like you.
Yes.
On the opinions. So a car buying decision is a very important one for a family, and people take that take that decision therefore very carefully.
Hmm.
So we are very, very focused on giving really the absolute best product we can, in terms of safety, in terms of design, in terms of technology. So these are the three drivers, as I was saying.
Mm-hmm.
There was an earlier time when people used to talk about fuel economy. They used to talk about, other things. But today, the three top reasons is safety, technology, and design.
And of course, Tata is excelling in safety now. I think in India,
Yes.
you're ranked number one in safety. All your cars are.
This is it's a very good point you raised. And when you say Tata's, that's also very important, because it's not just Tata Motors, it's a Tata group.
Yes.
So for over 150 years, we've been part of sort of nation building.
Yes, yes.
And, so the well-being of society is very important in whatever we do.
Yes, yes.
And if I look at Tata Motors specifically, we have in India, we have the unfortunate distinction of having amongst the highest road-related deaths in the world.
Yes.
Now that's a record which is actually not a good one to have as a nation.
Yes.
So we felt and we feel in Tata Motors very strongly that we should not contribute negatively towards that number. We should help in reducing road deaths and road fatalities, even road injuries. There are some injuries which can be life-changing.
Yes, yes.
It's not, people always talk about fatalities, but people should also realize that some accidents you can have can be life-changing. That person may not be able to walk again or see again or speak again, which in many cases is even worse, So we want to, therefore, whenever we discuss a product, a new car or a new truck or a new bus, safety is amongst the first discussions we have. And, there's no compromise on that. It's actually easier for us to not have some of those features and create cheaper, lighter cars. But we don't do that, because I think that's a price we are not willing to pay.
I think you have it on every variant. Every safety feature is up there on every variant of the particular car.
Yes, it's very important. Actually, when, to just inform your viewers, if they don't already know, when Global NCAP gives the star rating, this is for the entire nameplate. So if we say, Nexon, it won't be just for the Nexon top variant. It has to be across, every variant of that nameplate. So Tiago and Tigor are 4-star. Nexon and Altros are 5-star. This is even if you get the entry version or the entry level car. It is still got 5-star safety built into it. It's not that safety comes at you only get it at XM and XT and XZ. At XE variant, you will still get that. So this is very, very important to us, because Global NCAP certifies, like I said, it certifies a nameplate and not a variant.
So coming back to the design, from designing scooters to cars, all these experiences were outside India. What were the challenges in getting aligned with the Indian car market?
Actually, the experiences, yes, are outside India. There's two things to car design. One is the craft of car design, the actual art and craft of car design, which is the process linked, the 2D, the 3D, the digital work. We make a lot of clays. That, for example, we didn't have in India when I joined the company. We started that recently, and now in our India studio in Pune, we are able to do complete end-to-end process, including clays. So that is one. One is the craft side of design, and the other one is, of course, the market-facing side of design. Now, if I look at India, we are a very, very global market, by the way. In fact, many global OEMs are now launching their cars in India first.
First, yeah.
So, yeah, you know that because you cover it.
Yes.
If you see in the recent, 3 or 4 years, many models are actually launched in India first globally or simultaneously. It's not something that comes after 2 years, in many cases.
Yes.
So in that sense, India is as global a market as anywhere else.
But we
of course have
we have some particular,
we have some particularities.
yeah,
Yes.
like the sub 4 meter.
Yeah,
India
absolutely right. So sub 4 meter is a very, very particular thing to India.
Yes.
I'm actually glad because it gives us the chance to do some very unique products. Indigo CS was one of the first products, but that was more a shortened Indigo. But then as the category and as the segment has developed, today you have MPVs, you have SUVs, you have hatchbacks, you have sedans, you have everything under 4 meters, and a lot of
space
also
on all these.
Sorry?
A lot of space also available on all these.
Yes.
That is the challenge.
And a lot of global OEMs really struggle in creating products in this category,
exactly,
which satisfy all the requirements of the Indian customer. Like you said, space for the people, space for what we are carrying. All of that is very important. So if you look at the Nexon, if you look at the Tigor, they're class-leading boot space. Tigor has 490 liters of space in the boot. Nexon has some of the best sort of leg room, shoulder room that you can find. In a Nexon rear, in the trunk, you can actually when we were designing it, we said we will design it for a full-size washing machine with its box.
Okay.
So you can actually get that into the Nexon. So yes, you're right. Some peculiarities to India we definitely incorporate. But what a car looks like and what features it has, that has to be global. India no longer accepts anything less.
Yes.
If I talk about some more features and peculiarities, Altroz, very good example. In the rear, the floor is absolutely flat.
Flat, yeah.
In the middle, which means 5 people can actually sit in that car. This is not for 4.5 people. This is for 5 Indians who want to sit in the back. So 3 of them will sit in the back, and they can sit comfortably because there's no tunnel in the floor. The 90 degrees gullwing opening door. We in India we have certain clothes we wear that can sometimes restrict movement. So for ingress and egress, we've got 90-degree doors. In the architecture itself, in Alpha architecture, which the Altroz is the first car, the HBX, which we showed in Delhi, is the second car. But in the architecture itself, the doors open to 90 degrees. This is a global first. No one does it. But if you look at the car and the features it has, it's a global car in all respects. So yes, for India, we do make some tweaks. Ground clearance, for example, 165 minimum. This is important because it changes the stance of the car. In no other country you've got that sort of requirement. So, but we still make the car look amazing, look great on its wheels, but take care of all the unique features that India needs to have.
Okay. And congratulations on your the success of the Tiago, Nexon, Harrier, and Altroz. All these are
Thank you.
What can we expect next in the future? What can you expect?
Of course, we don't talk about the future in areas that we've not already revealed. But in the near term, it will be, of course, the Gravitas, 7-seat SUV. Which is, a fantastic product. When it comes out, you will see. And of course, a lot of people are expecting, and so am I on a personal level, the HBX, whatever name we give it in the at launch. These 2 products for me and the company are very important because what it does is it covers the SUV body style right from 3.85 meters all the way to 4.6 meters. So we have HBX, we'll have Nexon, then we have Harrier, and then we have Gravitas. So then you have a whole range of products that you're covering the market with.
Okay, okay.
And I think the HBX or the HB, whatever, when it comes out, will really create a new niche in the market.
Okay.
I think as an entry size SUV,
Mm-hmm.
sub compact SUV, there's a great space to explore, and I'm sure it'll do amazingly well. I mean, people have loved the design when we showed it in Delhi in February.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really keen on seeing these two cars come out.
And the Harrier got an automatic variant after 1 year of its launch. The Altroz still doesn't have an automatic variant. Do you think offering an automatic variant at the time of launch will attract more customers?
Yes, it possibly can. What? How we look at the market is that any car we launch, has to last for 6 or 7 years. There's a life cycle management we have to do.
Mm-hmm.
So this is very, very important to understand. Some global OEMs are able to do that because they launch their cars in multiple countries, in multiple geographies, in multiple configurations. Mm-hmm. So what we do is we look at the market, we look at the sweet spot in the market, and then we launch that first, because so you get the maximum customers in. So for example, you talk about an auto. In premium hatchbacks, the auto versus manual percentage is slightly different than it is in SUVs.
Yeah.
So of course in Harrier we've brought it in. It's a great product, with the sunroof and 170 PS and
Yes.
all of that.
Yes.
And in Altroz also we will do that. But the take up in premium hatchbacks for autos is very, very different from what it is in SUVs. Mm-hmm. So as we go along, we'll keep the product fresh. We'll start bringing in more customers to the brand and to the nameplate. Altroz is, as you know already, even in this sort of COVID lockdown situation, is doing extremely well.
Extremely.
And we are very thankful for that. In fact, in the month of June, it's already in the top 20 selling cars in India.
You can see a lot of Altroz on the roads now.
Yeah,
evident.
In fact, on my Insta account, whenever I see a picture of the Altroz, somehow always seems to be from Kerala. So obviously in Kerala also it's done, or it's starting to really pick up. What happened? It's very important to say that in February we launched all these new cars. The BS6 range, mm-hmm. and the Altroz, etc. Then March and April we got hammered by the COVID situation. In fact, April, as you know, was an industry first of zero sales.
Yes.
So in May there was a partial opening. June, July. So actually these cars have been in the market for less than 2 or 3 whole months.
Yeah.
So we'll have to give it some time for the traction to grow. But what we are seeing initially already is very encouraging.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And we have seen some out-of-the-box elements in the Sierra concept, like you've provided a garden in the dashboard. There's a wooden flooring. Will these be part of the production versions?
Of course, when we do a concept, it's more to test an idea rather than what's going to go straight into a production car. I always say, lots of journalists ask me, how much of your concept cars are going into production. So I always say it's between 80 to 85%. And if you look at Nexon, if you look at HBX, HBX, you haven't seen the final car.
Altroz.
But if you look at H5X, 45X, all these cars, when they became, the production Harrier, production Altroz, production Nexon, we retained and we stuck to that promise of 85% sort of reality. So in Sierra, it's the same thing. I feel that car, if we do make as a program, 85% of that car is possible to produce. There are some elements which we do, for the show, because we want to have a message. Okay. See, the Sierra, original Sierra was as you know, a diesel, ICE engine car. Mm. Whereas this time, when we showed it in concept form, we actually showed it as an EV. Mm-hmm. Because it's a new Sierra, like we said, new Sierra for a new era. And the whole message was therefore, to be eco-friendly, to be healthy, it was about well-being of the planet and of the individual, because the times have changed. The original Sierra was from the 90s. This is from 2020. So we use that as a message. In fact, there were no screens in the car either. We were talking about digital detox. So there were some key messages we put in, and if you look at the situation we're in today, globally, there is something that needs to be done about the way we are progressing as humanity. And some of the message, therefore, that we put in the Sierra about well-being of the human and the planet, and this digital detox, it's all sort of, coming true in a way. We are stuck with our screens all day long now, even more than, 3 months ago.
Yes.
So when you drive a car, you just want to experience purity. You don't want all this clutter. That's how we see the future will develop.
Okay. And how do you see the consumer segment in India 10 years, in the next 10 years' time? Do you expect a shift from the IC engines to electric motors?
It's inevitable. It's going to happen. I feel in India it will probably happen faster than in other parts of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Already, we do the Nexon EV, and that has got a incredible response. I mean, we didn't even expect the kind of response it's got.
I think it was a masterstroke for you guys to bring in the Nexon at the earliest stage.
Yes. And there are two barriers to EV adoption today.
Mm-hmm.
One is, of course, charging infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
And the second is the cost of batteries, and I think both these parameters over the next 10 years will change drastically. I think charging, ability to charge the car in more places will increase, and also the cost of battery per kilowatt hour will go down rapidly. I mean, we've already seen a few years ago it was $200
Mm-hmm.
per kilowatt hour. Now it's already touching, in the early 100, late 90s. Okay. So we are seeing this constant drop in battery prices.
Mm-hmm.
And my view is, therefore, the cost element of an EV is actually the battery, the really significant cost.
Yes.
Once that starts coming down, and EVs become more affordable, I think a lot of people will switch. So in the next 10 years, it's a real growth phase for EVs. But I think we are coming close to at least a mental tipping point. A lot of people do want to buy an EV. They still don't, because of these two concerns.
Because we don't have charging infrastructure.
That's right. But once we remove that, I think the path for EVs is absolutely undeniable. And in the Tata group, actually, there's a lot of focus on the ecosystem around EVs. So we in Tata Motors, of course, make the car, make and assemble the car. Tata Power is already starting to provide the charging stations. Tata Motor Finance and Tata Capital is in financing the cars. Other companies like TCS, etc. In the let's say in the electronic, and the IT connected sort of world. So, within the Tata group, actually, there's all the elements, all the skills to create an EV ecosystem. See, the EV doesn't survive on its own. It's not a vehicle on its own. It needs a ecosystem, charging infrastructure, financing, etc. So all of that will develop, definitely.
And the Kerala government has also taken a few Nexons for our vehicle department. I think that's a possible.
Yeah, I think there were about 60, 60 or so, if I remember.
To be precise, yeah.
So that's amazing. To see amazing. To see those around Kerala will be beautiful. And again, I keep getting pictures of our products from our customers, and seeing an EV in the real world, I mean, people using it is actually very heartening for me. That they are able to go up a hill, or they're able to access their friends. There's no lack of what you can do because you bought an EV. A Nexon EV is as capable as a Nexon itself. So that is amazing. There's no compromise to your life, and lifestyle.
Yes. And
So I
with a
hope the
lot of
Kerala
plans,
government, this department really enjoys the EV. I think when people see the cars passing, because you can't hear it, they will see it passing. I hope it inspires people to also
yeah,
invest in EVs.
I
Yeah.
hope the government takes it further and introduce it in every department, because
Yeah, no,
friendly too.
a beautiful state like Kerala, should be pollution free, as should others. As should others.
And with a lot of plans around EVs by various market players, do you foresee charging infrastructure sharing?
Yeah, I think that is something that will have to come. In my view, it's not sort of even feasible that each company has its own network and infrastructure. It should be like a fuel pump. When you go to a fuel pump, you can go with any car, right? There's no Tata Motors fuel station or
Mhm.
MG or Hyundai. So the same thing should happen with EVs. It's a power station and it's a charging station. It should be brand agnostic. So I think that is important, and I think it will come. It will come once a sort of minimum viable pool of cars is out there. It will come.
And I think it will increase the acceptance of the EV also. Among
Of
customers, yeah.
course, and then you're not duplicating all the costs and effort involved in creating a network. A charging network that can be distributed over multiple players.
Okay. And finally, do you have any message for youngsters, a young generation who wants to become an automobile designer?
Oh God! So this is actually the most important question in everything you asked, because one of the main reasons why I do interviews and sessions, ask someone a question about what's involved. It was very difficult to find someone who can be a role model. Now, for better or for worse, I've gone through this journey for 20 years. So I like to sort of share. And on Insta, I think on a daily basis, I probably get 10 to 15, sort of questions on how to become a car designer. So, of course, there's many, many more colleges now in India and abroad. So that's one. One is you have to study. A lot of people send me drawings that they do as an interest, as a sort of pastime. You have to be professionally trained to be a car designer. That means you must do, in my view, you must do a bachelor's in design in general, and then you must do a master's in car design if you can. Okay. And if you failing which, you can also do a bachelor's in car design. There are many colleges which offer that. But I always feel it's good to understand and know the basics of design first, and then build on that. That's the route I took. But it may not be the path someone else wants to take. But the common thing is that you must study formally design and car design. The second thing is don't limit your horizon. I mean, a lot of people ask me, "Oh, sir, what is the scope in India? There are so few people doing it, etc., etc." All I tell them is that why should you limit yourself to India? The world is your playground. If you are as good as anybody else in the world who's graduating from Germany or from UK or from Italy or Sweden or US, you should be able to apply for the same jobs, but you have to be that good.
Yes.
This is the other important thing, that less than 1% of a graduating class will get a job. That means 99% won't. This is very, very important. So if you're getting into it, you should know that, but you should also work towards ensuring you're on the top 1%.
Okay.
Because only the best
India
of the best.
Globally, only 1% is going to get a job.
Yeah, I don't think more than if let's say 500 graduates are globally graduating in car design, I don't think more than 50-70 jobs are created every year. New jobs. Yes, there are replacement jobs, people move around, but for new jobs, I don't think more than 100 are being created globally every year in design.
Okay.
Certainly not in India. In India, we're probably creating 5 or 7 jobs maximum. You know, so you got to be in that top 1.5%. If you're not in that, you won't get a job. So go in with it with some sort of understanding of what the reality is. But if you're good, there is no limit to where you can work and what you can achieve. So this is fundamental. A lot of people say, "Oh, I'm doing a BA or I'm doing a BE in mechanical engineering. I have an interest in cars. Can I just, you can't do this as a hobby. You can do it as a hobby at home, but if you want to sort of have a career and want to be a professional, then you have to study it and you have to be the best." These two are very, very important. If you don't have one of these two, better not to get into car design. Stick to engineering, stick to accounting. By the way, you have to be one of the best even there. So
Yes.
there's no room for not being amongst the best in anything you choose.
Yes.
So these two things I would definitely say, because like I said, many people write to me and they either don't have both of these, or they have one and not the other. So yeah. So study and be the best.
Yeah.
That's the two messages. Please.
Okay. Thank you so much, Pratap. It's been a wonderful conversation. Hope to see you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hope to see
Thank
more
you.
and more.
And I want to, wish you all the best as well.
Thank
as
you so much.
all views and more, drives.
Yeah.
I hope your sort of viewer and listener base grows. I wish you all the best. And like I said, it's a very special sort of interview for me because it originates in Kerala. So.
Yes.
I hope to see you all soon someday when we are able to travel again.
And hope to see more and more amazing cars from your designed by you
and the team, of course.
Yeah, and
there's over 150.
Personally, I would like to see the Nano once again.
Sorry.
Personally, I would like to see the Nano in a new avatar.
Okay. So yeah, me and the team, we have over 150 people in the team globally. We are all focused on creating sort of the best work that we can for Tata Motors and for the customer finally.
Okay. So thank you, Pratap, and stay safe.
Thank you to you and all your listeners as well. Thank you.
Thank you.